Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to start with a very simple fact. 4 out of 10 consumers now scroll past and no longer trust social ads. That's 40%. 40% of people you display ads to every day, which don't even look at them. Why do you think that is? As always, nature holds most answers. So allow me to take a little detour, and we're now going to talk about bees. Now, bees are fascinating creatures. Every day they go out and about, they explore the world in search for the richest, juiciest nectar they can find. Once they've found a really good flower patch, what they do is they fly back to their hive and do what is called a waggle dance. This is their way of raving about it to their friends. As a result of their dance, other bees will shift their trajectory to go towards the exact same flower patch. In other words, they will have changed their behavior. They will have get influenced. And guess what? We're the same. Think about yourself. When you go out and about in the world every day, when you either in your restaurant, watch a new film, or read a new book, what do? You rave about it to your friends. And you can trace this back to when we were cavemen. This is how we've gotten influenced by each other. This is how we changed our behavior. And this is how we've ensured the survival of our species, by warning each other of where the danger was or where the good berries were. This is how we got better every day. And we've been wired to do so for hundreds of thousands of years by getting recommendations from people we trust. So the way products are advertised to us today just simply doesn't make sense. It's unnatural for us humans to change our behavior or to get influenced on the back of a brand or a marketing channel talking to us, when we've been wired for so long to do so from getting recommendations from people we trust. So it's no surprise to me that digital marketing is declining and that 4 out of 10 people don't even look at your ads. However, with the rise of social media and technologies like the smartphone, we've been able to go back to our nature. We've been able to go back to getting recommendations from people we trust. We can now instantly connect with anyone in the world at any point in time, to a point where it's almost become too much, because if the technology has evolved, our brain is still roughly the same of that of a caveman, which means we can't possibly pay attention to everyone, and we've had to be selective. So what we did is we collectively shifted our attention towards those who we've elected to be part of our network, those who are the most authentic, those we trust. And these people started gaining an increasing influence on the world. These people are what we call today influencers. 2 of my favorite ones here, Jenna and Julian, some of the OG YouTubers, for those who know. But whilst most people think this is a new phenomenon, the point I want to is that the principles of influence have always been here and always will be. It's nothing new. And just like you today tuning into this talk, smart marketers have understood this shift back to our nature, this shift towards influencer marketing. They've understood that they need to leverage it for their brands. And most, unfortunately today, still fail. Why? Because they apply old, outdated marketing rules to influencer marketing. They just shove a product in influencers' hands and tell them, this is how you're going to talk about my brand. That doesn't work. What they forget is that influence is built on relationship. It moves between people, and marketers need to understand the nature of these relationships that influencers have with their audience. They need to understand it to be able to draw results from this channel. So now, if we've established that influencer marketing is based on relationships between humans, wouldn't it make sense to look into the actual study of human behavior to fully understand it? Wouldn't it make sense to look at behavioral science? And that's what we did. That's what Ian here with me did. Over to you, Ian.
Thank you, Luca. So we started with the question, What makes for a great relationship? And it turns out there's a lot of behavioral science you need to know if you're trying to make a great relationship. And we tried to see if we could we actually understand what makes for a great relationship at scale so that we could make influencer marketing, the ability to find the people who are trustworthy for their audiences and their brands at scale. So I want to talk about one particular piece of behavioral science which inputs into influencer marketing that we've been doing some very interesting research in, values congruence. We all have the intuition that authentic relationships are valuable and that even great influencer marketing is authentic if you think about it. But what does authenticity really mean? How can you operationalize that at scale? Well, how would behavioral science define authenticity? So we did some research and we did a test with one of our clients, Rosetta Stone, a language learning app. We looked at the influence of values congruence on influencer performance. We discovered that every brand can be defined by its values profile. This is the values compass, an 11-factor model, a circumplex of the values which brands most deeply hold and which individuals most deeply hold. Rosetta's values compass shows that they index highly on these masculine agentic values like achievement and joy. And interestingly, so do their best performing influencers. Jake the Korean Dream here, a Korean language learning influencer, also indexes highly on achievement and joy. But this is just one influencer. What about the whole data set? Well, it looks like over the whole data set, actually values congruence was the strongest predictor of return on investment for Rosetta Stone with a really high correlation. Now, this is a small data set. It's not a particularly compelling p-value, you might say. So let's look at a larger data set for another brand which doesn't have as strong of a values-driven brand, NordVPN, a VPN provider. We found that shared core values was actually a prerequisite for high-performing influencers. Still a high correlation, still a high p-value, but most interestingly, we discovered that 90% of high-performing influencers shared core values. In other words, you are simply not going to have a high-performing influencer relationship if you don't fundamentally share core values with the brand as an influencer and as an influencer with the brand. So this is just one psychometric, one matchmaking we're trying to make available to the world as a way of helping make influencer marketing accessible to everyone. And the way that we're doing that is by not just using surveys, but actually using artificial intelligence to understand any influencer's values at scale and almost any other psychometric signal. Influencers say so much about themselves online. It's the world's largest behavioral science laboratory. And we discovered that through natural language processing, image processing, we can actually infer the psychometrics of influence. We can do behavioral science at scale. And so make the power of influence, the power of connecting with your own bees who can do your own waggle dance accessible to any brand at scale. And that is a really exciting future of influencer marketing. Over to Luca for the zoom out and the big picture.
Well, just to wrap up, my call to action to you guys today is very simple. I would like to invite you to be part of this revolution, but not to create anything new. A revolution back to people, back to our nature, a revolution back to what makes sense. Because today, still too much money is spent on mediums that simply don't make sense. And if today 4 out of 10 can scroll past your ads and no longer trust them, tomorrow it will be 5, and the day after tomorrow it will be 6. So embrace this shift to influencer marketing before it's too late. And when you do it right. Don't just shove a product in an influencer's hands and tell them how to talk about it. Make sure to look into the science, into behavioral science, to truly understand the nature of these relationships and put them first in your strategy. That is the only way you will get results. And as a final call, I would like you to consider this talk to be my waggle dance, our waggle dance, to all of you guys, in the hope that when you log off, you will shift your trajectory from digital traditional marketing towards influencer marketing, that you will shift your trajectory towards what simply makes sense. Thank you.